Well, one of the things that we focused on was the quality of my recordings on Patreon, and there were some things that I just hadn't tried to do, and my recordings quality leaps and bounds ahead of where it was. And I'd been thinking to myself, oh, they're just bad little living room recordings. And with the help of a couple YouTube tutorials and a new mic stand and some different positioning and some settings in Audacity, my recordings sound wonderful now. And it's not this thing that's been hanging over my head like, oh, I'm giving people poor quality. That was great, and people have noticed and said things, and I'm really proud of it, actually. I was talking with my friend this morning about how we're gonna talk about career coaching, and a moment that we had in our first meeting where I was talking about various goals I had, and Steve brought up a goal that I'd written out as just a pie in the sky thing, a dream of playing with a nationally touring act. And he looked at me and he said, well, what about that? And I went, well, I couldn't, I'm not good enough for that. And he just looked at me and said, I did it for 3 years, you can. And that changed how I looked at everything, because someone was taking this vast, idea that could never apply to me and going, oh, that's in your reach, actually. It was great. So I'm in a lot of bands, and one of the things that I was having trouble with was kind of finding my own path, because if you're being pulled in six different directions, it's hard to feel like what the core of your plan is, what your goals really are for yourself. So, well, every musician wants to um, make more money, obviously, and one of the things that I focused on was my personal Patreon, and I focused on like redoing the levels that I've got and the sound quality of the recordings that I put out on my Patreon, and that was really good. So, I mean, what I was hoping was that by the end of the year, I'd be up to $400 a month on Patreon. That was kind of the goal that I set up, and I am now at, I think, 395. The end result is that the number went up, and that's great. But also, there were things that were actually really quite easy for me to do that I'd never gotten around to. Um, that I just needed somebody to, I don't know, be there, encourage me to do it, remind me that it was a thing. Um, and um, that, um, that was the real kind of result, that I actually did the things that I had been hoping to get to. So there are measurable and quantifiable things. My Patreon recordings were of this quality, and now they're of this quality. My followers were at this number, and now they're at this number. But I think the most impactful thing that coaching helped me with is that a few someone's looked at me and my goals and said, that's achievable. Yeah, I mean, if you're somebody who likes to go to the gym, would you recommend personal training, regardless of where you are in your workout? Like, totally, because everybody, no matter how experienced you are, can benefit, I think, from somebody with an outside perspective. It's just, it's a no-brainer for me.